let's add some colour to these guys, and I'll talk you through a bit about the process or what I'm thinking when I'm painting. Now these are going to be 2 brown horses, but brown is not just brown, so I start off by putting, I think about what sort of a brown horse it is. Is it going to be a dark brown or a reddish brown? And if so, there are undertones to consider. So I'll always start by adding a bit of an undertone, and this is one of my paint palettes. I've got 3 of these on the go. These are watercolours, so there's all sorts of different colours to add in when considering brown. So I'll start with a bit of a raw sienna, and I'm going to just put this over pretty much all of this horse, this first one here. And this is going to give us some toning for underneath. And I haven't stretched this paper. It's a 300 gram Fabriano Artistico. A good friend of mine said it sounded like it was ordering a coffee when I say that. Fabriano Artistico Extra White Hot Press. Does sound like a coffee. So I'm just going to get this all over here. It's going to provide some of our undertones, because there are light and dark areas on the horses. And if we can see, let me see, what have I got here? Oh, here's one that I finished a while ago. Oh, just this week actually. But if you have a look at this horse here, you can see some of these nice colours coming underneath. So even though this is a dark brown horse, we've got all these undertones. So that's what this is. That's what I'm putting in. All over. I'm going to paint the other horse in the background a little bit differently. It'll still be brown, but it'll be a different shade of brown. I'll just add some extra. I'm going to make sure I get the right legs here. There we go. Those legs belong to that horse. There we go. Now I drew these horses, the story behind these horses, while I'm getting this down, is that these were drawn for a project, a book actually, a storybook. A good friend of mine who was an excellent author, and I have been working on a concept for a story with horses, and these horses are from that story, so I've been dying to paint them really. I figured, well, I'll paint them like this, and then hopefully that story will come to fruition and I'll get to paint them again in a different style. Okay, now while that's wet, I'll come back to that story in a minute. While that's wet, I'm going to add in some darker colours. This is another layer of brown, so I'm going to add this in just on the top here, and while it's wet it actually will blend together and create some nice other colours. It's all different shades, and it's kind of like a happy surprise, because you never really know what you're going to get. It's like a box of chocolates, isn't it? Life is like a box of chocolates. Painting is the same, especially with watercolours. So I'm going to put that, I'm going to leave a little bit of it, I'm going to leave a little bit around here like we saw in that picture. I'll put something a little bit darker here. We'll see what this colouring this gives us. Up the top here, down on the shoulder, basically try and leave in some of these highlight areas. Now this is this brown colour is called Burnt Tiger's Eye Genuine. These are Daniel Smith. Put that one there. Daniel Smith watercolours, which I love. They give some great colours. Now this particular brown granulates. See, what about see that light? There we go. It gives us a nice texture on here. And you've got darker areas under the, I'll leave some light coming down that face. Dark areas under the cheek there. There'll be a darker area in this foreleg. I'm going to try and lift some of this off because that's not supposed to be there. You can do that with watercolour while it's still wet. Let's get some dark tones happening down this, the inside of this hind leg. These little paintings that I do, it's all about layers. I just layer the colours on until I get what I'm happy with. And there we go, we get some other, I'll have to bring some darker tones into this in a minute. Around the bottom of the rib cage here. A little bit dark. And you know what, sometimes when you start these paintings out, they look terrible before they start to look really good. And then I'm going to add a bit darker tone again. There's a really nice colour in the Daniel Smith range called Bloodstone. It's a very dark brown. It's got kind of like a purpley tinge to it as well. I use a lot for shadows. And I'll use it a lot instead of black. I pretty much don't use black at all in my paintings. I will tend to use a very dark blue mixed with a brown. One of those dark blues in Datharone blue. It's one of my favourites. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more of this and see how this blends back in together here. So this horse is going to be a nice dark brown, I think. And then the other one we might make a reddish brown. And I will leave this to dry in a second while I work on. There's a bit of a shine coming in from that lamp, which is a pain, but anyway. I have daylight lamps on my desk while I'm working. There's still a shine there from it. I think that's a second lamp. Oh, that made that worse. That might have to do. There we go. I use daylight lamps to have on my desk while I'm painting to give me some extra light. I'm going to leave this to dry in a second so that I can see what's going to come through. I'm going to add some extra colour on top. These dry rather quickly. There we go. Some more colour through there. And a lot of the times it's about what you don't put in as opposed to what you do. I'm going to add a couple of dark bits just around the hind quarter there. And through the ribs here again, and just down this shoulder. There'll be dark areas through the mane here. Okay, I'm going to let that one dry for a little bit, and I might put some undertones on that second horse. And we'll see how that comes about. Let's get rid of that little bit there. I'm generally a bit more careful about that. That's spread, but that's okay. No big deal. Lift it off. There we go. Okay, that can sit and dry there for a little bit. And we'll see what colours come out of that one that just dries, because they'll all mix together and cause some nice effects. They do tend to dry back a little bit differently. Get that little bit of mane in there. Probably won't add that in till afterwards because that'll bleed. Or I could put some undertone in because it'll bleed into the rest of the horse otherwise. It's going to have some shine on it. There we go. Adding layers just gives your picture depth. It gives the painting depth, where otherwise it could look very flat. Let's let that sit and dry. Let's get some undertone onto the other one.